Welcome to the Deep Dive Summary. If you're looking for that extra push to kick off your New Year's resolutions, you're in the right spot.
We've got 5 popular books lined up.
Yeah, all about building those better habits, changing your mindset,
Setting yourself up for success.
Exactly. We're going to be looking at Atomic Habits, Daring Greatly, Mindset.
The 5 a.m. Club, and the power of positive thinking. Quite the lineup.
I know, it's a lot, but it's going to be good. We really want to unpack these with you.
Yeah, it's a really interesting collection of insights, and I think what's fascinating is how they all sort of connect in different ways to this idea of transformation.
Totally. And instead of just like listing off summaries, we really want to kind of weave those connections together for you and,
Highlight those aha moments.
Exactly. Now, I think a good place to start would be with James Clear's Atomic Habits. It's kind of become like the Bible for anyone trying to make, lasting changes.
It really has. And I think one of the things that makes it so effective is the way that Clear reframes our approach to change. Like, he argues that instead of focusing on these big dramatic shifts, we should focus on getting 1% better each day.
Yeah, it's that classic idea of compound interest, right?
Precisely. But instead of applying it to finances, he's applying it to personal growth.
I like that.
So you think about it, if you improve just 1% every day for a year, you'd end up nearly 38% better by the end of the year.
Wow, that puts things in perspective. It makes those small efforts seem a lot more impactful.
Absolutely. And, Clear doesn't just talk about setting goals. He emphasizes the importance of building systems.
So it's not just about what you want to achieve, it's about the how.
Exactly. He argues that goals are about the results you want to achieve, but systems are about the processes that get you there.
So it's not just, I want to lose weight or I want to write a book. It's like, what are the daily habits and routines that'll actually make those things happen?
Exactly. And that's where his 4 laws of behavior change come in. It's this really simple but powerful framework for making good habits stick and breaking bad ones. Have you ever tried applying these laws in your own life?
Oh, absolutely. I actually used habit stacking when I was trying to establish a regular writing routine. He talks about how you can link a new habit to an existing one to make it more likely to stick.
Oh, that's great. So what did you stack your writing habit with?
Well, I already had this habit of having my cup of tea every morning, so I decided to make that my cue to sit down and write for 30 minutes. It's become almost automatic now.
It's like the tea is your signal to start writing.
Exactly.
That's fantastic. It's a perfect example of making it obvious, which is the first law. The second law is making it attractive. So our brains, they're wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain, right? So the more we can associate a habit with positive feelings, the more likely we are to repeat it.
It's like rewarding yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like if I'm dreading going to the gym, I might promise myself like a delicious smoothie afterwards.
Exactly. Or finding a workout buddy, someone to make it more fun,
Right. Make it more enjoyable.
Exactly. It's all about finding ways to make that habit more appealing to your brain. And then the third law is to make it easy. This is where, things like reducing friction come in. Like if you want to start exercising in the morning, lay out your workout clothes the night before. Or if you want to eat healthier, well, get rid of the junk food.
Just don't have it in the house.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about setting yourself up for success,
Yeah.
right? Removing any obstacle. And finally, the fourth law is to make it satisfying. Our brains, they just love rewards.
Yeah.
So we have to find ways to make our habits, enjoyable and fulfilling.
And sometimes that reward is just the feeling of accomplishment. Like checking something off your to-do list, right?
Absolutely. It's about finding those little wins that keep you motivated.
Yeah. And what I love about Clear's approach is he doesn't just focus on the mechanics of habit change, he also delves into the psychology, right? He talks about the importance of identity-based habits.
Yes. He emphasizes this idea that our habits aren't just about doing, they're about becoming. Like if you want to run a marathon, you start seeing yourself as a runner. If you want to write a book, you start seeing yourself as a writer.
It's about embodying that identity.
Exactly.
And that leads perfectly into our next book, Mindset by Carol Dweck. She also talks about the power of belief, and how it shapes our actions.
And what's fascinating here is that Dweck's research distinguishes between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. So people with a growth mindset believe that their abilities can be developed.
They can be improved through effort and learning.
Exactly. They embrace challenges and see setbacks as opportunities to learn and grow. Those with a fixed mindset, however, believe that their abilities are largely predetermined.
So someone with a fixed mindset might say, I'm just not good at math, while someone with a growth mindset would say, I'm going to work hard to improve my math skills.
Exactly. And what Dweck found is that this seemingly subtle difference in belief has a profound impact on our motivation, our resilience, and ultimately our success.
And I think that idea of mindset connects so beautifully with what Clear was saying about identity-based habits. If you believe you can change and grow, you're more likely to embrace those habits that support that growth.
It's like a positive feedback loop. The more you believe in your ability to learn, the more effort you're willing to put in, and the more you achieve.
And speaking of effort, our next book, The 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma, is all about, well, maximizing your potential, but through a very specific morning routine. Now, I know not everyone's a morning person,
Right.
but Sharma's book offers some valuable insights, even if you're not planning to wake up at the crack of dawn.
What I find particularly interesting is Sharma's emphasis on the power of ritual and routine. He argues that by creating a structured morning routine, you can train your brain for peak performance.
It's like he has this 20-20-20 formula where you dedicate the first hour of your day to 20 minutes of intense exercise, 20 minutes of reflection, and 20 minutes of learning or personal growth. I'm not sure I'm ready to jump into a 5 a.m. ice bath.
Me neither.
But even if we don't adopt that exact routine, I think there's value in considering how we can intentionally structure our mornings to set ourselves up for a good day.
Absolutely. And even small adjustments can make a big difference. Like maybe instead of scrolling through social media first thing in the morning, you could spend 10 minutes meditating.
Or journaling.
Exactly. It's about those small wins that set the tone for the day and help you tap into your best energy and focus. And Sharma also highlights the importance of mastering your mindset. Visualization, affirmations, gratitude. These are all tools he recommends to cultivate a positive and productive state of mind.
Which, of course, brings us to our fourth book, The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. It's a classic for a reason, and it really delves into the connection between our thoughts and our reality.
And Peale was a pioneer in exploring the mind-body connection. He argued that our thoughts have a direct impact on our physical and emotional well-being. And even though it was written decades ago, it's still incredibly relevant today, especially given what we now know about, neuroscience.
And the power of the mind to influence the body.
Exactly.
And I think one of the key takeaways from Peale's book is the importance of cultivating a positive attitude, right? He argues that by focusing on the good, we can attract more good into our lives.
And he doesn't just talk about it in the theoretical sense. He offers practical techniques for shifting our thinking. Affirmations, visualization, prayer. These are all tools Peale recommends for cultivating a more positive outlook.
And speaking of tools, if you're loving this deep dive so far, make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes.
And if you want to actually read any of these books, we've got links down in the show notes where you can purchase them on Amazon. Just click the link in the video description.
Easy peasy.
Now, before we move on to our final book, I think it's important to acknowledge that positive thinking isn't about denying reality or ignoring challenges. It's about choosing to focus on the possibilities, even when faced with adversity.
That's such a great point, and I think that's where Peale's emphasis on faith comes in. He argues that it's not just about believing in a higher power, it's about believing in yourself and your ability to overcome obstacles.
And that belief in yourself is so crucial, especially when we're talking about New Year's resolutions, because let's face it, most of us have probably experienced the disappointment of setting these big goals and then,
Falling short.
Yeah, and it's easy to get discouraged. But Peale's message is about cultivating that unwavering belief in your potential, even when things get tough.
Okay, I like that.
And that's where our final book, Daring Greatly by Brené Brown, comes in, because she explores the importance of vulnerability as a key ingredient for courage, connection, and wholehearted living.
I love Brené Brown. And I think this is a really powerful message to consider, especially in the context of New Year's resolutions. Because so often we set these goals with this idea of presenting this perfect version of ourselves to the world.
Yes. And Brown's research completely flips that script. She argues that vulnerability, that willingness to be open and imperfect, is actually the foundation of true strength and authenticity.
So it's not about striving for perfection. It's about embracing the messiness of being human.
Right.
And what I love about Brown's work is that she doesn't just talk about the benefits of vulnerability. She also provides practical strategies for cultivating it.
Yes, and one of the key concepts she explores is shame resilience. Shame is that, universal human experience of feeling inadequate or unworthy. And Brown argues that the more we can understand and address shame, the more we can live authentically and wholeheartedly.
Think of it like building an emotional immune system, right?
Exactly.
The more we can recognize and manage those feelings of shame, the less power they have over us.
Precisely. And this connects back to what we were discussing earlier about mindset. When we're operating from a growth mindset, we're more likely to see challenges and setbacks as opportunities for learning, rather than evidence of our inherent flaws.
So it's about shifting our perspective from, I'm not good enough, to, I'm learning and growing.
Exactly. And the shift in mindset can have a profound impact on our willingness to take risks, embrace vulnerability, and ultimately live a more fulfilling life.
You know, it's so interesting how all these ideas just weave together.
Yeah, it's like they're all interconnected.
And they really build upon each other. It's really cool. One thing that strikes me is how a lot of these authors talk about, like, designing your environment.
Absolutely. Clear talks about making good habits obvious and bad habits, well, kind of invisible.
Yeah. It's like, if you're trying to eat healthier, just don't even keep junk food in the house.
Exactly. Reduce that friction. Set yourself up for success.
And it's all about that setup.
It really is. And Brown touches on this too, but in the context of our emotional habits, she talks about minding the gap.
Ooh, what's that?
It's basically noticing when our actions aren't aligning with our values.
Okay.
Like, let's say you value spending quality time with family, but you're always working late.
Right. Classic.
Minding the gap would be recognizing that discrepancy and then actually taking steps to realign your actions with your values.
So maybe setting boundaries around work or actually scheduling family time.
Exactly.
Oh, I like that.
It all comes back to that self-awareness that we were talking about earlier.
Absolutely. And being willing to make those adjustments, it's tough.
Yeah.
You know, another really interesting parallel I see is how a lot of these books explore the idea of identity.
Right. Like Clear talks about identity-based habits, the idea that, well, the habits we have actually shape who we become.
Right. So it's not just I'm a runner, it's I'm the kind of person who runs.
Exactly. And Dweck sort of echoes this in her work on mindset, right? People with a growth mindset see themselves as works in progress. They're capable of continuous learning and development.
Yeah. It's subtle, but I think it really changes how you see yourself.
It really does. It empowers us to embrace those challenges, those setbacks, because we believe in our ability to grow and change.
So let's talk about something we all face: failure. How do these authors address those setbacks?
Well, Clear emphasizes the importance of not letting a single slip-up derail your progress.
Oh, so true. So easy to do.
Right. He calls it the never miss twice rule.
I love that.
So, you miss a workout, don't beat yourself up. Just make sure you get back on track the next day.
Don't let it spiral.
Exactly. And Brown, on the other hand, encourages self-compassion. It's about treating ourselves with kindness, just like we would a friend.
Right. Give yourself a break.
And Dweck highlights how people with different mindsets respond to failure. Those with a fixed mindset, they tend to see failure as a reflection of their worth.
Makes you want to give up.
Right. Whereas those with a growth mindset, they see it as an opportunity to learn and improve. It's a totally different perspective.
So true. You know, resilience seems to be like a common thread running through all these books.
Absolutely. That ability to bounce back from challenges.
Yeah. And while some of the advice in these books might feel prescriptive sometimes, I think the underlying message is really empowering.
It's about recognizing that we have choices.
We have that power.
To choose our thoughts, our beliefs, and ultimately our actions.
And that feels especially important as we're starting a new year. Fresh start, new you, all that.
Definitely. Now, before we wrap up our deep dive into these books, let's remind our viewers to hit that subscribe button.
Yes. If you are enjoying this, make sure you don't miss out on future episodes. And if you want to read any of these books, don't forget we've got those links down in the show notes. You can find them on Amazon. Just click that link in the video description.
And we'd love to hear your thoughts. Which book resonated with you the most? And what's one thing you're going to try differently this year?
Let us know in the comments. We love interacting with you guys. Now, we've been talking a lot about individual habits and mindset, but I know a few of these authors touch on how these ideas work in relationships, even at work.
Yeah, Brown, for example, explores how vulnerability can actually create more trust in our relationships.
Both personal and professional. Imagine you're a leader, and you admit that you don't have all the answers. Brown's research says that this vulnerability can actually build trust with your team.
Instead of making you look weak.
Yeah. It shows you're human.
Exactly. You value their input. And Dweck's research shows that leaders with a growth mindset are more likely to create environments where learning is encouraged.
That's so important.
They value feedback, are open to new ideas, they encourage experimentation.
Which I'm sure leads to a lot more innovation.
Exactly. You create a culture where it's safe to take risks and learn from your mistakes.
I like that. A lot of workplaces could use a little bit of that. Now, this all sounds great in theory, but I'm sure some people are wondering, like, how do we actually do this?
Well, I think it starts with awareness.
Okay, yeah.
Pay attention to your thoughts, your self-talk, your reactions. Are you approaching situations with a growth mindset or a fixed mindset?
Are you embracing the vulnerability or pushing it away?
Exactly. Once you start paying attention, you can make those purchase choices.
And remember, even small changes can make a big difference.
Clear talks about the power of those atomic habits, those tiny adjustments that compound over time.
All right, those little things. So instead of trying to change your entire life overnight, focus on one small habit, one mindset shift.
Maybe it's starting a daily meditation, incorporating more movement, or even just paying attention to your self-talk.
It's a process.
It is. It's a journey, not a destination. There will be ups and downs.
Definitely setbacks, challenges.
But with a growth mindset, with the willingness to be vulnerable and a commitment to building those atomic habits,
You can achieve amazing things.
you really can.
It's a new year, a fresh start. And it's really encouraging to know that we have these tools.
And resources.
Yeah, to actually make those changes happen.
Yeah, and these 5 books offer a lot of knowledge,
They really do.
practical strategies.
Yeah, and they remind us that change is possible. you
Yeah.
know? Even small steps can lead to big results.
Absolutely. So as you think about your own goals, your aspirations for this year, remember the power of those atomic habits.
Right.
The growth mindset.
And don't forget being vulnerable.
Yes, embrace that vulnerability.
And all those systems and routines we talked about, those can really make a difference.
It's about supporting those changes you want to make.
Right, exactly. Designing your environment, creating a morning routine.
Or just being more mindful.
Yeah, being intentional, it all adds up.
It does. And remember, change takes time.
It does.
It takes effort. There will be bumps along the way.
Oh yeah, there will be. Ups and downs for sure.
But with perseverance, with self-compassion, and with that belief in yourself,
You can do it.
you can achieve some amazing things.
Now, before we sign off, we want to hear from you, our deep dive listeners.
Yes. What resonated with you most from these 5 books?
What's one tiny step you can take today to move closer to your goals?
Let us know in the comments. We love hearing from you.
And if there's a book or topic you'd like us to deep dive into in the future,
Let us know.
we're always on the lookout for the next learning adventure.
We are.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into 5 amazing books for a transformative new year.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you found it insightful and inspiring.
And remember, the power to change, it's all within you.
Absolutely. Happy New Year, deep divers, and happy reading.